You didn't just cross their mind. You stayed there, quietly, persistently, in the spaces they never learned how to fill again. There is a certain kind of silence that follows after someone loses something real, and that silence is speaking loudly right now. Welcome to Sophia, where messages arrive not to stir fear, but to reveal truth. The energy surrounding this reading feels heavy with reflection and emotional honesty, as if the universe itself has paused to let this realization sink in. This is not about nostalgia or fleeting thoughts. This is about recognition, the kind that arrives late, but arrives fully. As the cards revealed themselves, the Five of Cups, the Lovers, and Judgment stepped forward together, creating a story that could not be ignored. These energies don't whisper, they confess. They show a person looking back at what they once mishandled, realizing that what they treated casually was actually sacred. At the time, they didn't understand your worth because they didn't understand themselves. Now, distance has given them clarity, and clarity has brought regret. They are replaying conversations they rushed through, moments they failed to protect, and choices they made from fear rather than love. There is a deep awareness forming within them, an understanding that what you offered was genuine, patient, and rare. You are just an option in their life. You were the foundation they never learned how to stand on properly, and now that foundation is gone. What makes this energy so intense is that you are no longer reaching for them. Your stillness has become the mirror forcing them to see the truth. They sense your growth, your peace, and your emotional maturity, and it highlights everything they failed to be at the time. This regret isn't dramatic or impulsive, it's quiet, steady, and consuming. Stay present with this message, because what's unfolding next will reveal how deep this realization truly goes, and why it's reaching you now. When the Five of Cups, the Lovers, and Judgment come together around the topic, they regret messing up a good thing with you. The message is not subtle, it is profound, emotional, and irreversible. These three cards tell a complete story of loss, realization, and awakening, not just what they feel now, but how they arrived here, and why this regret has become such a permanent part of their inner world. The Five of Cups opens the story by revealing where they are emotionally. This is the stage of loss that cannot be undone. They are no longer confused about what happened. They are fully aware that something meaningful slipped through their hands. This card shows them emotionally paused, looking back at what they mishandled, knowing that the pain they feel now is connected to choices they made then. It speaks of quiet regret, not dramatic, not loud, but heavy. The kind of regret that surfaces late at night, in moments of stillness when distractions fade. They didn't feel this immediately. At first, they believed time would soften everything, that moving on would be easy. But the Five of Cups shows that instead of relief, they found emptiness. They miss not only you, but the emotional safety, sincerity, and depth that existed with you. Now they understand that what they lost wasn't replaceable, and that realization hurts because it came too late. Then the Lovers deepens the message. This card explains why the loss happened. It was never a lack of love. It was a failure to choose it. The Lovers is about conscious decisions, alignment, and emotional courage. And here, it reveals that when they were faced with the responsibility of loving you fully, they hesitated. They chose comfort over vulnerability, fear over honesty, ego over emotional presence. This card shows that the connection between you was real, deeply real. There was chemistry, soul recognition, and a sense of this matters that they felt early on. You offered a love that was genuine, grounding, and emotionally open. But loving you required them to show up as their true self, to be accountable, consistent, and emotionally available. And at that time, they weren't ready to rise to that level. The Lovers also reveals their inner conflict. Part of them wanted you completely, while another part resisted the change that love demanded. Now, with distance and reflection, they see that they didn't lose you because the connection failed. They lost you because they didn't choose it when it asked for bravery. And then comes Judgment, the card that seals the message. This is the awakening. This is the moment when denial ends. Judgment shows that they are no longer blaming circumstances, timing, or misunderstandings. They are taking full responsibility. They see clearly now how their actions, silence, and indecision shaped the outcome. Judgment reveals that your absence became their teacher. Without you there to soften the truth, the lesson hit deeper. They are revisiting memories with new eyes, recognizing moments when you reached out emotionally and they pulled away. when you offered understanding and they offered confusion. This card shows a reckoning, not punishment, but clarity. Together, these three cards show a full emotional cycle. The Five of Cups shows the pain of loss. The Lovers shows the choice that caused it. Judgment shows the awakening that followed. This regret isn't fleeting, is matured into wisdom. They are not just missing you. They are becoming aware of who they were and who they failed to be. What makes this energy so intense is that you have moved forward. Your healing, growth, and emotional stability now stand in contrast to their delayed realization. They feel the difference. They see how much you carried emotionally, how much patience you gave, and how rare your love truly was. And that awareness stays with them. This combination does not promise reconciliation. Instead, it delivers truth. It shows that some connections come into our lives not to stay forever, but to awaken us. You were that awakening for them. You reflected their emotional potential and their emotional avoidance at the same time. Their regret is real because it is rooted in understanding, not fantasy. They know now that a good thing doesn't announce its value while you have it. Sometimes it becomes clear only after it's gone, and this realization has changed them permanently. The combined message of these three cards is simple, but powerful. They lost you not because love was missing, but because courage was. And now, with love understood and courage finally learned, they are left holding the lesson and the regret, knowing that you were the turning point they can never forget. Judgment arrives in this message as a powerful moment of awakening. This card does not speak of surface-level regret or temporary guilt. It reveals a deep, soul-level realization that changes how they see themselves, you, and the past. In the context of this connection, Judgment shows the point where denial ends and truth begins. They can no longer justify their choices or soften the reality of what happened. The clarity they are experiencing now is unavoidable, and it is reshaping them from the inside out. This card shows them standing face to face with their own actions, not to punish themselves, but to finally understand the consequences. They are seeing the relationship with new eyes, stripped of ego, excuses, and emotional avoidance. Where they once minimized your importance, they now recognize your impact. Judgment reveals that they understand you weren't just someone they loved. You were someone who changed them, someone who reflected their deepest patterns and unhealed wounds. They are being called to account for the way they handled the connection. Memories surface not randomly, but with purpose. Conversations, moments of silence, times when you reached out emotionally and they pulled away. All of it is returning now, demanding to be acknowledged. Judgment shows that this process is uncomfortable, but necessary. They are no longer running from what they did or who they were. This card also speaks of forgiveness, but not in the way many expect. Before forgiveness can be offered or received, there must be full awareness. Judgment reveals that they are first being asked to forgive themselves by taking responsibility. They are learning that regret alone does not heal, ownership does. And this realization is humbling them in a way nothing else could. What makes this awakening so intense is that it comes after loss. You are no longer present to soften the lesson or guide them through it. Your absence has become the catalyst for growth. Judgment shows that they now see how much emotional labor you carried, how much patience you extended, and how often you chose understanding over conflict. They recognize that your love was not weak. It was strong enough to give without demanding control. This card reveals a rebirth of emotional awareness. They are more conscious now of how their actions affect others, especially in love. The patterns that once ruled them, fear of commitment, emotional shutdown, indecision, are being exposed. Judgment doesn't allow them to look away anymore. They are being asked to rise above who they were, whether or not they ever speak to you again. There's also a deep sense of accountability here. They know that apologies made too late don't undo damage. They understand that timing matters, and that love requires courage in the moment, not clarity after separation. Judgment shows the pain of realizing that they reached emotional maturity only after the relationship ended. Energetically, this card indicates that your role in their life was karmic. You were not meant to stay forever, you were meant to awaken something within them. Judgment reveals that you served as a mirror, reflecting both their capacity for love and their fear of it. And now, that reflection cannot be unseen. This awakening is changing how they approach life, not just love. They are more introspective, more honest with themselves, and more aware of the cost of emotional avoidance. They are learning that love is not something you survive, it's something you choose, protect, and show up for daily. Judgment also carries a message of finality mixed with transformation. This chapter has closed, but the lesson remains alive within them. Whether paths ever cross again is not the focus of this card. The focus is on truth. And the truth is that they now know exactly what they lost and why. This card tells us that their regret has evolved into wisdom. They can no longer pretend they didn't know better because now they do. Judgment shows that your impact on their life was permanent, not because of pain, but because of awakening. You were the moment their soul was called to grow, and that call will echo within them long after the past has been fully faced. The Five of Cups carries a heavy, emotional truth in this message. It speaks of loss that was not immediate, but slow, unfolding over time. The kind of loss that only becomes real when it's too late to fix. In the context of this connection, this card reveals deep regret rooted in awareness. They didn't feel the full weight of their actions in the moment. It wasn't until you stepped back, until your energy withdrew, that the emptiness began to surface. Now, that emptiness follows them. This card shows them standing in their own emotions, looking down at what they spilled, what they neglected, and what they failed to protect. The love you offered was once right there, available, open, and sincere. But instead of valuing it, they assumed it would always remain. The Five of Cups reveals how they now replay those moments, seeing clearly where they chose distraction, pride, or avoidance over care and consistency. That realization doesn't come with excuses. It comes with remorse. What makes this regret so intense is that it's internal. They don't just miss you. They miss the way they felt when they were with you. There was safety in your presence, emotional grounding they didn't recognize until it disappeared. Now, even when surrounded by others, they feel alone because the connection that truly understood them is gone. The Five of Cups shows emotional isolation born from self-awareness. They are caught between the past and the present, struggling to move forward because part of them is still looking back. This card reflects sleepless nights, sudden memories, and emotional triggers that arrive without warning. A song, a place, a quiet moment, and suddenly you're there, not as pain, but as truth. The truth that they had something real and mishandled it. This card also reveals guilt, not the kind that seeks forgiveness, but the kind that forces reflection. They recognize that you gave more than you received, that you showed patience while they showed confusion, and that you offered honesty while they withheld clarity. The Five of Cups shows them finally understanding the emotional imbalance and how unfair it was to you. What hurts most is that they now see how gentle you were with their flaws. You didn't demand perfection. You asked for effort, presence, and emotional honesty. Instead of meeting you there, they pulled away. Now, the distance feels permanent, and that reality weighs heavily on them. The Five of Cups reveals mourning not just for the relationship, but for the version of love they failed to become. This card also speaks of self-blame. They know external circumstances didn't ruin this connection. Their choices did. They recognize where they could have spoken up, shown up, or chosen differently. And that awareness sits with them, unresolved. They wish they could return to moments where one honest conversation could have changed everything. Energetically, this card shows emotional stagnation. They are stuck in the realization phase, learning the lesson slowly, deeply, and painfully. While you are moving forward, healing, and growing stronger, they are still processing what they lost. Your absence has become the teacher they avoided while you were present. The Five of Cups does carry a quiet message beneath the grief, the reminder that not all is lost. But here, that message is not about reunion. It's about growth through regret. They are being shaped by this experience, humbled by it, and transformed by the loss of you. You became the turning point in their emotional life. This card tells us that their regret is real, lasting, and deeply personal. It isn't loud or dramatic. It's internal, reflective, and constant. They know now that a good thing doesn't announce its value until it's gone. And that realization, born from the Five of Cups, will stay with them long after the tears dry. Because some lessons are only learned through loss. The Lover speaks here in a way that goes far beyond romance or attraction. In this message, this card reveals the moment they finally understood what they had in their hands and how deeply they failed to honor it. The Lovers is about choice, but more importantly, it is about conscious choice. And this is where their regret begins. They didn't lose you because love wasn't present. They lost you because they didn't choose love when it mattered most. At the time, they believed love would wait, forgive, bend, or remain patient no matter what. Now they see that real love requires presence, courage, and responsibility. This card shows that the connection between you was not ordinary. There was emotional alignment, soul-level recognition, and a feeling of "this is different" that they felt early on but didn't know how to handle. You reflected something back to them that stirred both desire and fear. You asked them, without words, to rise emotionally, to be honest, to commit not just to you, but to their own growth. And instead of stepping forward, they hesitated. The Lovers reveals that their regret comes from knowing they turned away from something that could have changed their life. They now understand that what you offered wasn't just affection or attention. It was acceptance without control, love without manipulation, and depth without games. This card shows them realizing that connections like that don't come often. You weren't replaceable, and that truth is settling into their hearts slowly, painfully. They compare others to you now, not intentionally, but instinctively, and no one measures up because no one carries the same energy you did. The Lovers also exposes the inner conflict they were in when they chose wrongly. Part of them wanted to love you fully, but another part was ruled by fear, ego, or old wounds. They chose comfort over truth, avoidance over vulnerability, and now looking back, they see how those choices cost them someone who genuinely saw them and still stayed. That realization brings a quiet kind of grief, not loud, not dramatic, but heavy. What hurts them most is knowing that you loved them in a way they didn't have to earn through performance. You loved them as they were, but you also believed in who they could become. The Lovers shows that they now see the contrast between that love and the shallow connections that followed. Those connections may have distracted them for a while, but they never filled the space you left behind. This card also speaks of timing. At the time, they weren't ready to choose what was right, only what was easy. Now they are ready, but the timing has shifted, and that is where the regret sharpens. The Lovers reveals the pain of understanding that love requires action in the moment, not realization after the loss. They feel the bond still, not because it's unfinished, but because it was real. The Lovers doesn't always promise reunion. Sometimes it delivers truth. And the truth here is that you represented a choice they failed to make, and that choice continues to echo in their life. They wonder how different things would be if they had chosen honesty instead of silence, commitment instead of confusion, you instead of fear. Energetically, this card shows them waking up emotionally. They are more aware now, more reflective, more capable of love, and that awareness comes with the weight of knowing you were the one who taught them this lesson without even trying. You became the mirror that revealed their heart to them. This is why their regret feels so deep. It isn't just about losing you, it's about losing the version of themselves they could have become with you. The Lovers shows that they now recognize your value, your love, and your role in their journey. And whether paths cross again or not, this realization will stay with them. Because love like that doesn't disappear. It transforms, it teaches, and it leaves a mark that time cannot erase.